All right, let's get this started. I'd like to welcome everyone today to this webinar for the event scheduler and composer. My name is Stu Paterson. I'm a technical sales engineer here at Symetrix, and I will be presenting. So, first and foremost, what in the heck is the event scheduler? Well, first off, this is a feature within Composer that is available on all of our DSPs, as well as the control server via its own web interface. We'll get into the differences a little bit further into the webinar, but for now, it's just it's a feature that is available to all DSPs. Now, it allows for scheduling of presets and time of day, and it provides a way to automate routing, source selection, volume changes to account for special events, holidays, and other automatic predetermined configuration needs. Basically, it will take your presets and trigger them based on the time of day and days that you set and the schedule that you set. It's very handy for automating off and on processes, like if you want to mute an entire location and ensure that at night no audio passes, or if you want to set a predetermined state for the system. It's really endless in most cases. Now, as I mentioned previously, it triggers presets. In order to schedule an event, you need to store presets. After you have one or more presets created, you may access the event scheduler from the tools menu, as you see here. Again, we will move forward. Let's just jump right into it, and I can show you exactly what we're dealing with. Yeah, let's see here. All right. I'm going to jump into Composer here. And in Composer, as I showed you previously, in order to launch the event scheduler, you need to go to the Tools menu and then launch Event Scheduler. And I've already created some events, but I'm going to go backwards and show you how to do this. So this is effectively the in Composer GUI or the GUI, I should say, for the event scheduler. Now, going back to the beginning, how do you engage the event scheduler? It's not something that is automatic on the control server, unless, of course, it's the first DSP placed. And I'll explain. So when you are creating your first DSP or your first site file, if you are paying attention, let's just drag in an edge. You'll notice down at the bottom right-hand side here, there's two symbols. And the symbols are archive, which archive is just saving the site file, and also event scheduler or event server on this unit. And it's represented by that little 24 there in that tiny square. So which means this unit has been designated the event server. So all the events are triggered through this DSP with the site file. Now that's automatic on your first DSP placed on all of them. Of course, you can go ahead and place any of them and it will automatically designate. And see even the control server here. However, you'll notice that it doesn't do that for the extenders because they are not DSPs. So it needs to be a DSP for the first one placed. All right. So, but let's just say you don't have it configured. Well, when you don't have it configured, you don't have that ability. So you no longer have the event scheduler or event server engaged. So therefore, you cannot, as you can see, it will show you the event scheduler will open, but you can't actually save anything. And it won't actually function unless you have that unit designated as the event server. So I'm going to go back here, okay, to my site file and go in, and I'm going to tell you, as I've said previously, you need to have presets because that's what the event scheduler does. It triggers presets. So calling up my preset manager, you'll notice that I have several already created, but they could be anything in this case. So I did several like analog output off and on, which is effectively just muting only the analog outputs and not the Dante streams. But it could be anything. It's any preset that you can imagine. So once those are created, I'll call that up again so you can see. Once those are created, and I open up the event scheduler, and this is the month view, but you can change it to day view or month view, depending on what you want to do. So right now, today, I have a daily reset event already created, and we'll drill down. If I double click, it shows you what I did for this one. So here's the event title, and of course that is an editable event title, whatever you need. And of course we have a label. Now labels are special actual labels that you create. By default, as you can see, these are what you get right off the bat just by opening up the event scheduler. You can edit these for your own purposes by clicking on the 3-dot button and then going through here and editing them for your needs. And of course, if you don't like what you did, you can always just restore defaults because that's what these are the defaults. The colors are not editable, but that's the least of the problems that you have. So you have 10 labels that you can specially create. Moving on. Now, this is where you select the preset you want triggered for this event. In this case, I've created the preset number 19 called daily default. And what that is effectively the entire site file. I want it to a default state. So that's the event I'm triggering. And I want to do it on a schedule because in this site file's case, maybe people are utilizing it 24 hours a day and they never power cycle it. So therefore, I want at a certain time of day, in this case, 10 a.m., to go back to a default state. And of course, you can adjust the time as you see fit. Now, the event type is going to be, all right, is it a one-time event? Which literally is that. It triggers once, and that is it. Or you may choose it as a recurring event. Say when you have the event type as one-time event, you'll notice it only has a single time, or a single date, I should say, for this event. Whereas reoccurring, you have several choices. So you have your default daily, which gives you the ability to click off any one of 7 days or any pattern that you want. You can exclude Saturday and Sunday if you so choose and leave weekdays or include weekdays. It's really dependent on you. And of course, here's something else you can do is an exclude date, which is effectively, as you can see here, I excluded the 23rd and the 24th of December from my schedule for arbitrary purposes. But you can literally choose, let's just say the 17th. I want to add the 17th to the exclude date. So that date will not trigger the event. And I'll show you in just a second. So let me go ahead and hit OK, go back to month view, and let's go to the 17th. Now you'll notice that my 10 a.m. event, my daily default, is no longer viewable on the 17th, the 24th, and the 23rd. 17th, 24th, 23rd. So, but it's including the other event I created, silent time. Now, if I go back, let me go ahead and then. Now there's also a custom list. So your custom list is literally that. You can choose the exact days that you want, not via the arbitrary selection of Sunday through Saturday. So I can literally have it trigger, let's see, the 17th, 23rd, and 24th separately if I so choose. Okay, and there we go. So now it's only triggering on those 3 days only. Okay. So let's go ahead, click on that back, daily, and okay. Now, as you can see, this is possible to do with any of your presets for any triggering purposes. So whatever the need you have for that preset, or whatever preset you currently have, you can trigger it via the event server. Now, what you can also do, events have been edited. Yes, I want to save changes. What you can also do is you can export the event scheduler launch file. So it's effectively like SimView. So SimView, you can have a standalone instance of SimView on a client's computer where you don't give them access to Composer. You just give them the SimView file, they open it up, and they can control things. Same thing with the event scheduler. So we can name this whatever we want. Let's just call it event and put it on our desktop. Oh, there's already one there, but let's go ahead and save it. Yes, I do. All right, let's go to the desktop. Where are we? We're in the clean view. 1 second. I need to show everything. There we go. Let's go to the, and there we go. So now the client doesn't necessarily need to utilize Composer in order to launch the event scheduler in order to change their events or edit events that they've already created. And of course, we can also choose when we can view which month is available to us. So we can see, okay, let's go to March in 2021. All right, and then change it to week view. There's the week view for us, and then daily view. But it's very powerful. And of course, you can go ahead and select and then edit, but that does the same thing as double clicking. So you can do either way. Or you can delete the event as scheduled, and now it is gone. All right. Now, that's available, as I stated, on all of our DSPs. Now, the control server is a little different. With the control server, and actually, I'm going to pull back a little bit. So, as you can tell, in order to access the event scheduler, you need to be on a PC. PC only when you open that up. It's not available online except for the control server. So the control server, if you designate the control server as the event scheduler or event server, I should say, what'll happen is, let's see, let's go ahead. And as you can see, I opened up the user dashboard, and here's the event scheduler app. So it's effectively the same thing as we saw earlier, except it's a web-based event scheduler, so you can do your edits here as opposed to being on a PC. You just launch a browser on a device that is on the network, the same network. It could be an iPad, it can be a Samsung phone, a Galaxy phone, or an iPhone. It does not matter as long as it has a browser. They're connected on the same network as the DSP and the control server. You have access to this event scheduler via the control server only. This is only available on the control server. Now, before I get into the slight differences between the Composer-based event scheduler and the control server event scheduler, we need to show you how to actually set it up. So it's a little bit different. As I showed you earlier, for our DSPs, once you drop them in, it is designated as the event scheduler. Same thing with the control server. Whoops, double clicked instead of clicked. Oops, I'm in edit mode. There we go. Properties. So there we go. So once this is enabled, you see below that you have the ability to launch in browser. So it's if it's not enabled, it won't. It's grayed out. But now it is. Now you can also double click, as I showed you earlier. You can double click on the control server in the site file, but you can get both ways. We make it several ways in order to access this via your account, or you can just type in the IP address of the control server directly. But moving on, let's go to the admin account and show you what you need to do. It's pretty easy. It's effectively the same as any of our other control server like SymView files. So it is an application like our Mixer app and the SymView apps, and you need to have a license installed. By default, when you purchase the control server, there's already an event scheduler license installed. If it's not, please call technical support and we'll be able to generate a license for you. But they should be available on all, or one license should be available on all control servers. And then once it's installed, you'll notice that we have this available configuration. Now, this will only show up if the control server is designated as the event server. It will not show up otherwise. You'll get an error. But then you just want to make sure that it's in the license configurations. And then once it's in a license configuration, you want to assign it to a user. And in this case, I created a user called event, and then made this a user allowed configuration available for the event scheduler and saved it. So that's how your users have access to that event scheduler online. So once we do that, okay, oh, for the love of Pete. There we go. Yes, and the users are case sensitive, as I just showed. So let's go back. All right, so that's how you assign it to a user in the admin account for the control server. But more importantly, it's the web event scheduler is effectively identical. However, there are a few other items that it's possible. So with the online event scheduler, you can see we have notes, we have events. It's exactly the same thing, time, single, recurring. The difference is you'll notice we have a whitelist and blacklist capabilities. So we can actually add days to the blacklist. So it's effectively the same as selecting individual days, but in this case, these are blacklisted days. They will not be able to be utilized. And the same thing with a whitelist. So I'm going to select these days as the blacklist, and then go ahead and hit done when you are finished. And that's been added to the blacklist there. And here's your blacklist. Same thing with a whitelist. Let's select some days that aren't the same. Now let's choose sometime in January. Go up here, hit done, and there's our whitelisted days. So it's effectively the same. And what I didn't know earlier is with the web event scheduler and within the composer, you have this notes field where you can add notes to each event. I failed to mention that earlier. Okay. And then the setting of the unit clock. Now, you can do this in both locations. You can sync with the device, or you can set your own time and day. Syncing with device is generally speaking the best way to do it. If you have your computer set to a different time, where it's not on a time server, where it's just set on its own schedule, you would need to do that in order to sync with the device. Or to set it however you want. If you want the schedule to be an hour ahead or whatever you want. It's literally you have that availability there. All right, and with the composer based, you can change the day, week view, month view, and then scroll forwards for other dates that you can set. All right, and the same thing here, you can edit the labels. As I stated, effectively identical with the little differences of the blacklist and the whitelist edition. All right, are there any questions? Questions, comments? Nope. Okay. Well, I mean, if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. As I stated earlier, this is a feature that is already within Composer. You have this ability on any of our DSPs. It's not something you have to purchase separately. Oh, about presets. Now, that's a different story. So we can probably schedule another webinar to talk about. Can we sync the date time to a network time server? Yes, you can. Okay, I'm going to answer this. Hold on. Let's go back to the first question about presets. Okay, so we can set up a different webinar for presets, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown. So presets are effectively, so let's go into this DSP. So presets. So presets, what we can do here is, well, I was going to show you about presets, but I'm having a bit of an issue. So again, presets are effectively, you can set parameters on, say, like a mute switch or a fader. You can take the current state, add it to a preset number by right-clicking and going to save to preset, and then going to the preset number. You have the ability of creating up to 1,000 presets, and then you can edit them in Preset Manager and rename them as you see fit, or delete certain aspects of them as you see fit. Okay. Okay, next question. Can we sync the date time to a network time server? Not directly with the event scheduler. What you're doing is in each device in your site file, you have the ability to set one of them to the network time server. So as an example, once you create a site file, it doesn't matter how many DSPs you have there. Once you go into one and set an NTP server, that will designate or utilize that time server. As an example, I use the University of Colorado's time server. Why? I don't know. It's just one I started using years ago. So all of my site files are based on the University of Chicago time server. Okay. Is there anything specific to be done for the user's access through the exported scheduler widget? No, there's nothing specific. The only thing they do need, obviously, is the event scheduler software itself installed on their computer. And you can do that separately. So when you open up or when you start to install Composer, you can choose what is installed. So you can choose to a full install, or you can just choose to install SimView only or the event scheduler only. So that's how you give them access. You're just installing the event scheduler only on their computer. Okay, next question. Except for having to be on the same network, how does the widget communicate with the DSP or server? Directly. So it's, how does it communicate? It's all over the network, honestly. So the widget itself is just sending the commands over the network to the DSP, or the control server, or the server itself is the DSP. So it's communicating directly with the DSP at that point. So it'd have to be part of the control network. So it's not over Dante, it's through the control network. Okay. Are there any other questions? Oh, how does that standalone event scheduler program work with an archived site file? If I pull a file from a processor, will I have the client updated schedule saved, or will it? No. When you pull a site file from a unit, that is the site file that was pushed. So there's nothing unless you update it. But the events that they create and decreate will be part of that site file and will be part of the changes that you have to sync with. So if you sync to changes, that will be part of it. If you choose not to sync to changes, you will just pull the original site file from the unit, and it will not have their changes. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. All right, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. Whoop, was there one more question? Oh, no, there wasn't. All right, I'm going to close this out. If anybody has any more questions regarding anything they've seen here today, they can call us anytime. You can, let's see, I'm going to show you our information. So you can go to our website at www.symetrix.co, that's .co, or you can call us at 425-778-7728, extension 5. And you can ask for any one of us. We have 5 guys here in tech support. There's myself, Stu. We have Chris, Nick, Tony, and now Quinn, who was just hired. If you get him, be nice to him. He's our new guy. But other than that, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.